everyone! This is not the cutest you'll ever see me, but I'm just getting back from my bike ride, and I am really excited about the day today. And if I don't record my video now, then I will not have time to upload it on YouTube before 7 p.m. or really even like 10 p.m. So you're getting this, my post-workout beauty, just for one day. And I'm excited because we're going to read book the third today. We get to start book the third called Gore, The Tale of Miggery Sow. And I don't know what to expect because I haven't cheated. I did not read ahead, but I know that it said that Miggery Sow was a girl who had ears that looked like pieces of cauliflower stuck on either side of her head. So we know that she is going to be very important to Roscuro getting his rat revenge. So I can't wait to meet her and see how she's going to help him. Chapter 24, A Handful of Cigarettes, a Red Tablecloth, and a Hen. I would like to put in here now that we all know that cigarettes are extremely bad for your health, so we'll put that out there. I don't know what's coming up, but I cannot imagine that we want to follow that example. Again, reader, we must go backward before we can go forward. So remember, we learned about Despero, and then we went backwards, and we learned about Roscuro. We're going to go backwards again. With that said, here begins a short history of the life and times of Miggery Sow, a girl born into this world many years before the mouse Despero and the rat Chiaroscuro, a girl born far from the castle, a girl named for her father's favorite prize-winning pig. I'm seeing a lot of Charlotte's Web connections here. Are you guys seeing any connections? There's a prize-winning pig, there's a rat, maybe we'll find a spider, I don't know. And there's a girl. It's Fern. Miggery Sow was 6 years old when her mother, holding on to Mig's hand and staring directly into Mig's eyes, died. "Ma," said Mig, "Ma, couldn't you stay here with me?" "Oh," said her mother, "who is that? Who is that holding my hand?" "It's me, Ma, Miggery Sow." "Ah, child, let me go." "But I want you to stay here," said Mig, wiping first at her running nose and then her runny eyes. "You want," said her mother. "Yes," said Mig, "I want." "Ah, child, and what does it matter what you are wanting?" said her mother. She squeezed Mig's hand once, twice, and then she died, leaving Mig alone with her father, who, on a market day in spring soon after his wife's death, sold his daughter into service for a handful of cigarettes, a red tablecloth, and a hen. Who is her father? Are you getting that? Let me read it again. Do you see who it is? "Ah, child, and what does it matter what you are wanting?" said her mother. She squeezed Mig's hand once, twice, and then she died, leaving Mig alone with her father, who, on a market day in spring, soon after his wife's death, sold his daughter into service for a handful of cigarettes, a red tablecloth, and a hen. He's the guy that's down in the dungeon with Chiaroscuro. Remember that his only small comfort was that red tablecloth, and then Roscuro stole it from him and made a cape? Oh, I got chills. It's all connecting. "Go on, Mig," he said. "You belong to that man now." "But I don't want to, Papa," she said. "I want to go with you." She took hold of the red tablecloth and tugged on it. "Lord, child," her father said, "and who is asking you what you want? Go on now." He untangled her fingers from the cloth and turned her in the direction of the man who had bought her. Mig watched her father walk away, the red tablecloth billowing out behind him. He left his daughter. And reader, as you already know, he did not look back. Not even once. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine your father selling you for a tablecloth, a hen, and a handful of cigarettes? Close your eyes, please, and consider it for just a moment. I feel like rage, like really mad. I'd be really sad. Done? I hope that the hair on the back of your neck stood up as you thought of Mig's fate and how it would be if it were your own. Poor Mig. What will become of her? You must, frightened though you may be, read on and see for yourself. Reader, it is your duty. We'll read on. Chapter 25, A Vicious Circle. Miggery Sow called the man who purchased her uncle, as he said she must. And also, as he said she must, Mig tended Uncle's sheep and cooked Uncle's food and scrubbed Uncle's kettle. She did all of this without a word of thanks or praise from the man himself. Another unfortunate act of life with Uncle was that he very much liked giving Mig what he referred to as a good clout to the ear. In fairness to Uncle, it must be reported that he did always inquire whether or not Mig was interested in receiving the clout. Their daily exchanges went something like this. Uncle, I thought I told you to clean the kettle. Mig, I cleaned it, Uncle. I cleaned it good. Uncle, ah, it's filthy. You'll have to be punished, won't ya? Mig, Gore, Uncle, I cleaned the kettle. Uncle, are you saying that I'm a liar, girl? Mig, no, Uncle. Uncle, do you want a good clout to the ear then? No, thank you, Uncle, I don't. Alas, Uncle seemed to be as entirely unconcerned with what Mig wanted as her mother and her father had been. The discussed clout to the ear was always delivered. Delivered, I am afraid, with a great deal of enthusiasm on Uncle's part, and received with absolutely no enthusiasm at all on the part of Mig. What I'm thinking a clout is he probably is hitting her on the ear with something, and so it's saying that he was really excited about it, like he loved doing it, and she absolutely did not like receiving them. These clouts were alarmingly frequent, and Uncle was scrupulously fair in paying attention to both the right and left side of Miggery Sow. So it was that after a time, the young Mig's ears came to resemble not so much as ears as pieces of cauliflower stuck to either side of her head. So it's not that she was born that way, it's that she was getting hit by Uncle, who purchased her from her dad, and is not actually her uncle, and when she doesn't do things that he likes, then he is mistreating her. And they became about as useful to her as pieces of cauliflower. That is to say that they all but ceased their functioning as ears. Words for Mig lost their sharp edges, and then they lost their edges altogether and became blurry, blankety things that she had a great deal of trouble making any sense of at all. The less Mig heard, the less she understood. The less she understood, the more things she did wrong. And the more things she did wrong, the more clouts to the ear she received, and the less she heard. This is what is known as a vicious circle. So she doesn't do what she's supposed to do, she gets hit in the ear. When she gets hit in the ear, now she can't hear. He's actually taking away her hearing. So then she can't hear things, he gets mad at her for not hearing, and she gets hit. If you can't tell, Binks is nearby. Stop that. Get your tail out of the way. So she's getting hit in the ear. She can't hear. Because she can't hear, he gets madder and he hits her more in the ear. So that's what we call a vicious circle or a vicious cycle. She can't get out of it and she can't help herself. This is what is known as a vicious circle. And Miggery Sow was right in the center of it. Which is not, reader, where anybody would want to be. But then, as you know, what Miggery Sow wanted had never been of much concern to anyone. Nobody cares what she wants. When and Binks just fell off the table. Stop that. Let me read my book in peace. Chapter 26, Royalty. When Mig turned 7 years old, there was no cake, no celebration, no singing, no present, no acknowledgement of her birthday at all, other than Mig saying, Uncle, today I'm 7 years old. You guys, that's like first grade. She's not even like a teenager. She was 7. And Uncle saying in return, Did I ask ye how old you were today? Get out of my face before I give you a good clout to the ear. A few hours after receiving her birthday clout to the ear, Mig was out in the field with Uncle's sheep when she saw something glittering and glowing on the horizon. She thought for a moment that it was the sun, but she turned and saw that the sun was in the west where it should be, sinking to join the earth. This thing that shone so brightly was something else. Mig stood in the field and shaded her eyes with her left hand and watched the brilliant light draw closer and closer and closer until it revealed itself to be King Philip and his Queen Rosemary and their daughter, the young Princess P. The royal family was surrounded by knights in shining armor and horses in shining armor, and atop each member of the royal family's head there was a golden crown, and they were all, the king and the queen and the princess, dressed in robes decorated with jewels and sequins that glittered and glowed and captured the light of the setting sun and reflected it back. Gore, breathed Mig. The Princess P was riding on a white horse that picked up its legs very high and set them down very daintily. The pea saw Mig standing and staring, and she raised a hand to her. "Hello," the Princess Pea called out merrily. "Hello," and she waved her hand again. Mig did not wave back. Instead, she stood and watched, open-mouthed, as the perfect, beautiful family passed her by. There's a picture of Mig with her mouth open at the princess. Here she is. You can see her mouth kind of like... I think that her gore is like, what was it that Despero's brother always said that was so... Crikey. Was it cripes? He said cripes. I think that that's what Miggery Sow's cripes is. It's gore. I'm on the wrong page here. So there she is, 7 years old. "Papa," called the princess to the king, "what is wrong with the girl? She will not wave to me." "Never mind," said the king. "It is of no consequence, my dear." That means it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what if she waves at you or not. "But I am a princess, and I waved to her. She should wave back." Mig, for her part, continued to stare. Looking at the royal family had awakened some deep and slumbering need in her. It was as if a small candle had been lit in her interior, sparked to life by the brilliance of the king and the queen and the princess. For the first time in her life, reader, Mig hoped. And hope is like love, a ridiculous, wonderful, powerful thing. Mig tried to name this strange emotion. She put a hand up to one of her aching ears, and she realized that the feeling she was experiencing, the hope blooming inside of her, felt exactly the opposite of a good clout. Remember, that's when she gets hit. She smiled and took her hand away from her ear. She waved to the princess. "Today is my birthday," Mig called out. But the king and the queen and the princess were by now too far away to hear her. "Today," shouted Mig, "I am 7 years old." Chapter 27, A Wish. I'm so excited, but I need to stop there. So tomorrow we'll continue with chapter 27, A Wish. We already know that she's pulling up to the castle, right? And she's going to meet Roscuro. So we know that she's going to get away from Uncle. So that is the hope that I'm going to hold on to, because I think her whole story is so sad. But hopefully, somehow, she and Despero and the Pea and Roscuro are all going to join together somewhere here, probably in book the 4th. And I think it's going to end well for them. I hope you have a good night. There's still time right now outside to go and get some of that sunshine. So I will see you at 9 o'clock in the morning for our morning meeting. Good night.